Well, hello there. It's just me and the world's best tasting vodka.
Welcome to season 3 of Off The Dribble. I'm your boy, B. Scott. Of course, I got another great guest. Man, we go back, 30 years, and we're going to talk about that as well. Saxophone player Michael Lington. You talking about a guy that can just, when you talking about smooth sax and just smooth jazz, my man right here is one of the best. Michael, thank you, my brother, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure to be here, buddy.
Man, it's been a while. The pandemic has kind of put a whole lot of people, where we haven't been able to see each other for a little while.
Well, we're making up for lost time.
We're gonna definitely make up. And first of all, we're gonna have a little toast to,
of course,
just to get this show started, as I do all the time.
I like
with
it.
My guests.
Cheers.
You guys know we drink a little, cranberry and Neff vodka. You know how we do it on
That's
here.
right.
Now, the one thing that I didn't know about Mike, it's probably a few things I didn't know about Michael. We go back, like I said, we met, I'm gonna start that over. We met at World's Gym in Venice Beach. And you came here to the United States at 21 years old.
That's right. I just turned 21.
Just turned 21. And we met not too long after that.
That's right.
Became good friends. I had the nice high top fade. Mike had the nice mullet.
Well, thanks for saying nice. I would say I had a mullet. I don't know if it was nice.
It was a nice mullet. And we were working out, and I remember you telling me this like it was yesterday. You was like, I'm a sax player. I got a album coming out pretty soon. And I remember the day that you came to the gym, and you was like, B, check this out. And you handed me that CD. And I took it home, and I listened to it. And I came back the next time that I saw you, I was like, Michael, this is off the chain. I said, do what you do. And now that one has turned into 13 more. And just kind of tell the fans how you came over here from Denmark at 21 years old and got started in your dream of being in the music industry and how that has turned out.
I will tell you that. What I have to say first is that, I had just come here. I was 21 years old. I had no clue what I was going to be doing, what I was doing. But I ended up, because of some friends at World's Gym. And there were you, along with your championship, winning Lakers team. And you guys were the biggest stars in the world, basically. And somehow we became friends. And you were on top of your career, and I was just starting out. But you know what? You were so cool, and somehow, said, let me listen to what this kid got to say or what he's doing. And we became friends. And it was just such an odd thing in a way, because we were from such different places and in so different places,
Yeah.
And you know what? And that's why we're still friends, because what you did, you're just a great guy, Byron,
Mike,
so I'm sure you have done that to other people too. And that shows your character and how great you are. Anyway, I just wanted to start with that, because
I appreciate that,
because I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, that you would even pay attention to what I had to say or wanted to even listen to anything I'd done. So thank you for that. I never forget that, Byron.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I remember you kind of saying that at your 50th birthday party that we were all at. And kind of told your mom and dad who were in town.
That's right. Yeah.
That this guy was, and I was like, oh man, come on, man.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how little things can touch certain people.
Exactly. And I'm sure at the time you didn't think the importance of it, but just think about it for a second. Just think of how incredible experience that was for me. I saw you on TV every day winning, and you're like on top of the world, and here you are, hanging out with me at World's Gym the next day. I just thought it was the coolest thing. Anyway, so I had this crazy idea. In the late 80s, I met a drummer, and I'm still good friends with too. His name is Mark Schulman, and he was on tour with Richard Marx in 1988, and I met him in Copenhagen. And I had this crazy idea. I wanted to come to America. And when I met him, I was like, take me with you. He says, okay, well, he goes, I got 6 months left on the tour, so if you're still serious, call me.
Yeah.
And 6 months went by. I gave my notice of an apartment. I sold my car, And I called and say, hey, Mark, I want to come. He goes, who's this? I said, 6 months ago in Copenhagen, and I met you, and he's like, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, I'm coming. And he says, all right, come on over. And he sort of invited me over, and I stayed on his couch. And it was so funny because I remember I'd been here for a couple of weeks, and I knew I wasn't going back. It was just, it felt right. It felt like this is my home, And sure enough, 32 years later, and little by little, just trying to figure it out. And it's really been something else.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you obviously you figured it out. You know what I mean? It like you said, it's a process.
Yeah. It is,
it's a
and
process.
there's still more to be, much more to be figured out, But I've certainly, for the goals that I originally set, I've reached those goals. So, but you know how it is. You set a goal, you reach it, and you go, okay, what's the next one?
That's right.
And it's been, lately, at 51 years old, I became a dad for the first time. That was a goal, and I finally reached that goal too.
Well, we're going to go back. We're going to talk about Carrie and the family, that's for sure, because Carrie, your wife, and our friend, Cece and I friend, we love Carrie. I mean, Carrie's, when you introduced us to her, you guys were just dating at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, if you don't marry her, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing was wrong with you. I know you was a smart man. I was like, if you don't marry this woman, because she had the total package.
Yes.
She's put together, she's beautiful, runs her own business, she just, to me, when I met her with you, I was like, Michael, you got to marry this woman.
By the way, everybody said that. So I realized if I didn't, I would not only lose her, but all my own friends.
You lose everybody. We would have disowned you, man. I was
exactly.
Like, you got to marry
I know.
Woman.
It was pretty much, you don't screw this one up.
Yeah, that's right. Don't fuck it up. That's what I was like.
That's right.
Fuck it up. So wait a minute. Let's talk about that a little bit. Okay. So how has being married and being now a father, another goal to yours.
Now we jumped 30 years.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and forth.
Okay, right.
But being a husband and a father, and juggling, your music career, because for so long it was just you. You didn't have to worry about nobody else. Now, how has that changed your perspective?
Well, I call it, it's not Michael Lington 2.0, it's 5.1 because, it's a different life. It's one thing is you wake up and just have to worry about yourself and what you're doing today. Absolutely. And what tour are you going on and what song are you writing. Now there's so many, and everybody that has kids know that. And until you have kids, you won't know that. So your priorities change, now it's about a family, it's about a unit. You have to make sure that everybody's okay. And then, basically you work for the kids.
Them,
you work for them. And then you have to find the time so you can
to sneak in.
Sneak your work in and get things done and still spend time with your friends. You just have to look at your time completely different. You have to structure your day different. It's not like, we'll just see what happens today. It's almost like you have to slot in everything.
Right.
And so you have to have a better focus, and you have to have time for it all, So what I found is that, kids and even Carrie, they're very forgiving. Wives or spouses are very forgiving about if you have to travel or have commitments or be in the studio or whatever you got to do. But when you're with them, as long as you're with them, it's okay.
Yeah.
But you can't be on your phone.
Right.
And, honey, I just got to sneak into the studio and be with them, And
when you mean with them, it's like 100% of your time and energy and effort is with them.
Right. And I'm guilty for sometimes slipping. I have to say that.
I think we all are.
Because it's like all of a sudden you get an email or text and go, oh my God, I got to respond, but just usually it can wait.
Yeah.
You just choose, you have to kind of, it's all learning,
Yeah.
So.
No, I love the fact though that, this relationship and this marriage is working so well with you as far as with business as well.
Yeah.
And other things that you got going on. But I want to go back to the first album again, Self-Entitled, How was that? Because that was kind of part of that dream that you said came true.
Well,
so when you had that one come out,
right.
Well,
there was something that happened before that led to that. So my original dream coming from Denmark was to just be here, make a living as a musician, maybe go on tour with other people. So that was, because that's what I had seen on, oh my God, these touring musicians, they're touring all over the world with famous people, and God, they must be so amazing, right? You know, so that was my first dream. And that's how I started. So my first professional tour was with a great blue-eyed soul singer named Bobby Caldwell. And so we toured together for 4 years. And then Randy Crawford, another wonderful singer, Randy Crawford. And then through those tours, I was offered my first record deal. And that's when I made my first album in, I think it was 96. Yeah. So that's sort of how, and then all of a sudden, oh, now I need to write songs and I need to figure out how to make a record. I got the deal and was like, okay, what do I do now? You know, I was like, okay. So it was actually Bobby was a big encouragement. He says, you got to make that record. You got to figure out how to do it sooner before it gets too late, you know? And what was interesting with his tour or his band, that each sax player before me had gone on to have huge solo careers. Like I took over from Boney James. Who took over from Dave Koss, who took over from Richard Elliott. So he's like, yeah, before this door is getting shut, you better go make a record. I said, well, will you sing on it? And he said, yeah, I will. So we, at Soundcheck for years, we would warm up on Aaron Neville's Tell Her Like It Is. So he said, well, what song should we do? I said, Tell Her Like It Is. Yeah. So we ended up doing Tell Her Like It Is. And on my first album, it was a big hit, both on the jazz charts, but they crossed it over to adult contemporary, which is also another name for the pop charts. Yeah. So all suddenly, I had an interview with Dick Clark and with Casey Kasem because I was on their countdown.
I remember that.
And I just got started. I was like, this is crazy. Is this what, you know? So that's how it started for me, you know.
And then you also was with Michael Bolton, and that was later on.
That was later on.
But so you've had some great guys that you've been around, and collaborated with on songs.
Sure.
And how do you pick those guys? Is it just relationships that you have?
Yeah, I mean, I love to collaborate. You know, it's so much fun to actually get together with people and start writing songs and record. There's a lot of synergy. You know, it's boring for me just sit in my home studio and try to figure it all out myself. I like, I'm a social person that way. Yeah. So so you get together with people that you love what they do, and then you say, hey, should we write some songs for a project? And okay, sure. We get together. You never know. I mean, I have a great, one of the songs that became an important song for me, or became one of my hits, was a song called Road Trip. And, it was like, I remember leaving the gym, different gym, but, and on the street, I was like, this melody came to me, and I took my phone up and started singing in it with like buses and coming by. And next day I had a writing session with a buddy of mine, Bryant Culbertson. And I said, hey, Brian, I don't know if you can get anything out of this, but do you think we got something? He goes, yeah. And he came up with this riff. And then I would have never thought of this riff. And then we built the song out and we recorded it. And it was a #1 Billboard on the jazz charts for me. So you just never know. Yeah. And that's the fun part about collaborating, is that, I kind of know what I do. Right. But to bring another element in, to me, it's exciting and surprising and all of those things.
Yeah, I love Brian.
Yeah.
I mean, every year I used to go to the Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
And watch Brian, like that Sunday night, he's the closing act.
Right.
And him on that piano, man, is magic.
Yeah. He used to chase me around the stage with his trombone. As a matter of fact, I was just, Brian and I, that was 18 years ago that Brian and I toured together. And we just had a reunion show in Mexico last week.
Are you serious?
Yeah, after 18 years.
Oh, that's cool.
And Brian was like, it's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah,
I'm like, it is.
Cool.
It was fun. Yeah, yeah.
So did he play the trombone, or did he stick to the piano most of the time?
He stuck to the piano because that he had broken his toe. So I was like, thank God, because now he can't chase me around the stage. So anyway, no, but so he said, I'm not bringing the bone this time. I'm just going to play the piano. But it was great. It was fun. Yeah.
How was it playing at the royal wedding in Denmark, in your hometown?
Yeah, that was wild.
I mean, that had to be an unbelievable honor.
Well, it was, yeah. They brought me back to perform at the wedding. And I mean, I had no idea. I'd played for the royal family before for like a birthday of the Queen and I think the Crown Prince too. And but this was like what you think it was. I mean, when I came home, the whole city was, every store window had, you know, the Danish flag and a picture of the. I mean, the whole city have. First of all, it's a crazy sort of. It was almost like a Disney love story. They met the Crown Prince of Denmark, who will be the future king, had met a commoner in Australia, Mary from Tasmania, at the 2000 Olympics. She didn't know he was a prince, and he didn't tell her. So they kind of fell in love at a bar in Sydney. And they had carried on. I mean, it almost sometimes sounds too good to be true, but apparently they went on for a few months dating, and they were online, whatever, calling until somebody figured something out, you know, and they fell in love. And she came home, and within a couple of months, she learned Danish. So the whole country was just falling in love with her. So I came home to this love fest, and I mean, it was really, I mean, it was so crazy. I've never seen so many dignitaries and royal people and movie stars. I remember Roger Moore walking around over there he had a bunch of medals himself. You know, I mean, it was wild. Yeah. It was a bit surreal.
Roger Moore, James Bond.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
He was in a tuxedo. Wait, what's going on here?
That dude was cool.
Yeah, man. So, you know, it was very funny. Just the whole experience. I mean, it was. I'm glad I got to experience it. Yeah.
No, that's cool. So this kind of brings me to this question: when Carrie and you met, when y'all first met, did she know exactly what you did for a living, or did you? Well,
that's the funny story about that is that you know, living in the modern world, we met online, you know, and it was not something I was used to because I would always meet people wherever, you know. Yeah. But most of the people I would meet was because I was touring it on the road, and you can't necessarily make anything out of that because I can't, you know,
Those are called groupies.
Well, you know.
I'm just saying.
Okay, all right.
Those are called groupies.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Is that what they're called? Groupies, basketball groupies.
Whatever. So, you know,
yeah.
but it's not necessary, you know. But what you're going to...
It's not going to be a housewife.
It's not, right, exactly. Well, it's like, but just the logistics of it. Are you going to move to Decatur, Illinois? Or are you going to, wherever? I'm just picked a random city. But you know, so... coming home from a trip, I didn't feel like I'd been single long enough, and I wanted to. I started getting to a point where it's like I do want a family. I don't want to be single for the rest of my life and just bouncing around, whatever. I want something serious and potentially have a child. And I knew I was getting up there. It was like 40. 45. I was probably a little late there, but anyway, I made it work. So we met online, and so funny when it was one of those dating apps, and the one you could both match, swipe left, right, whatever, match, but you couldn't talk to her. You had to wait for the woman to initiate the conversation. Okay, and if she doesn't do that in 24 hours, it expires. Okay, but then there's like a Hail Mary for the guy. They go, hey, you know, what? Please. Swipe, so she didn't because I was a musician. And she used to own a talent agency up in Portland. And she had nothing to do with actors and musicians. So it was like she had a strict no dating rule for that. So, but it was just something about her. And I wanted to meet her. I just felt she needs to be in my life. I don't know. Is it a friend? I don't know what it is. So when she didn't get back to me, it's like I used my one pass. And I guess that she's like, oh, okay. All right, well, let me see what it's all about. Right. And that was it. And we had our first date at Mangiamo's down in Manhattan Beach. And then we were together for 3 days of something like that week. And you know how that goes. And then next thing, we get a place together, and here we are. Now it's a kid, and you know.
Now you're at the married life. But let me ask you this: how did you propose?
Oh, I did. So I really it's so funny because I could tell she was like,
yeah, I kind of got that too. I was.
It's kind of like, what are we doing here?
You know, for a while before she was like, you know, So yeah. Clock
So,
ticking.
yeah. You know, is this so anyway? So I was trying to figure out the best way to do it. So we had a trip planned to a friend gave us their house in Hawaii for like a week or something like that. And then I was thinking I was going to do it just. Len wasn't even born yet, but it was she was pregnant with my son, and so it was just the three of us, her little girl, which is of course is my little girl now,
correct, yeah,
and her, and I was going to do it just in some kind of beautiful setting. But then I had another idea. I decided I was going to do it on one of my shows, so I did. So I set it up, and Thornton Winery in Temecula. They have this jazz concert series. So I called the promoter and I said, hey, listen, in the middle of my show, I'm going to stop the show and then I'm going to go propose. So I need to know where she's sitting. And, you know, so I told her, let's spend the weekend down there because, you know, who wants to drive back, you know, up there? So let's spend the weekend. So I arranged for a nice little getaway place for us down there. And, I did. You know, when I go out in the middle of the show, I go out and I play Everything Must Change.
Yeah.
So I go out, took the microphone and put it in my back pocket. And then I go out there, I start the song and I said, hold on a second. I got to do something. And then I went over there and I proposed to her. And then the promoter, he didn't even tell me. So he came out and he brought a big bouquet of flowers.
Oh, wow.
He had arranged for like a cake and champagne upstairs.
Oh, wow.
After, and he didn't tell me anything about all that. So I just say, I just need to know.
Really good.
Yeah, well, it was, it did. It's true, yeah. And so that's how it all happened. And, you know, it's so funny. Everywhere I go somewhere, there's always like a couple from that night saying, oh, we were there that night, you know. So, you know, I also felt like, how can she say no?
Right.
You know?
From all
There's
these
like
people.
800 people.
Right.
But anyway, so it worked out. I had one of the other guys in the band. I gave him the ring. So when I went out to start, you know, proposing to her, they came out and they handed me the ring. And, you know, it was kind of, it was cool. Yeah, it was.
That's pretty romantic, though. I got to say so myself.
I have my moments, but
I think we all do. You know. Hey guys, listen, we're gonna take a quick little break. We're gonna be back, and I promise you, we're gonna talk about more of Michael's career and music. I know we're talking about family and all the good stuff, but the music is good stuff too. But we're gonna talk about his career a little bit more when we come back. Black Widow is a conglomerate of attorneys and investigators that have always been community-based. They started from a personal traumatic loss, and that has spiraled into a platform from human dignity and rights. When they say there is no chance, Black Widow will take matters into their own hands and will find a way to rectify the wrongs and produce positive results beyond any boundaries while also paying it forward. Black Widow handles motorcycle injuries, car accidents, trips and falls, all criminal matters, family law, workers' compensation, restraining orders, and all other legal matters. In an industry where money rules and basic given rights are overcome by greed, they strive to make it about humanity by repeatedly educating and informing the masses as to their rights. If you have ever felt that raging anger like you've been done wrong, that's the fire that fuels this team. When you're done listening to all the rest, call us for the blunt truth. Call 844-NO-CHANCE or reach out via our Instagram at BlackWidow_investigations. When others say no chance, we're on your team. Hey guys, welcome back to season 3, another edition of the Off The Dribble with your boy Byron Scott. I'm here with my boy Michael Lington, saxophone player. This man he's toured everywhere. He's got #1 hits everywhere. He's just been an unbelievable musician for his career, and he's not done. Believe me, he's got more to come. Matter of fact, we will also get into his latest album that will be coming out pretty soon. His 13th album or CD or so, whatever you want to call them nowadays, right?
Project. Yeah.
Whatever it is right now, his 13th. But we're going to go back a little bit. You started at age 7 playing the clarinet. Is that what and your biggest influence was Ray Charles at the time? Was Ray one of them?
Well, I started on clarinet, and then I started losing interest in the clarinet.
Okay.
Because I discovered artists like Ray Charles, Wilson Pickett, Otis Redding,
Yeah.
Jackie Wilson,
Yeah.
Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of music coming from Memphis, a lot of that original soul music.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? There was no clarinet in that soul music.
Yeah, you're
There
right
was
about
lots of
that.
saxophone, but there was no clarinet. I'm like,
Okay.
I may have to do a little switcheroo over here, you know. So yeah, no, but the truth is, I lost interest,
Yeah,
you know. And then, 16 years old, playing the clarinet does you no favors, if you know what I mean. So
it ain't something that's sexy to the girls
right,
either.
So that's what I'm talking about. I had to do something quick. You know, no offense to clarinet, but you know, but anyway, no. I mean, the truth is, I discovered a lot of American soul and R&B music, and which is why I ultimately ended up going to Memphis and record 3 albums at Royal Studios there, and involving a lot of the original artists from Stax and Al Green's band.
Mm-hmm.
I even flew in one of the originals. I mean, one of the greatest experiences I think in the studio I've ever had is one of the original soul men of Memphis, William Bell.
Mm-hmm.
He was signed to Stax Records before Otis Redding. Turns out, it was crazy. I met him. I was a part of the Memphis Music Hall of Fame induction of a sax player, a local sax player there, Charles Lloyd. And I met William Bell, and I didn't know him at the time, and he was there with Snoop Dogg. And I was like, but he sounded, he was probably almost 80 years old, and he sounded it was like you were transported back in time. Anyway, at that moment, it's like, I got to have him on my album. So I was going back to Memphis to record my Silver Lining album, and the studio I recorded is Royal Studios, which was Al Green's a record guy and producer, Willie Mitchell's studio. Now his son is operating the studio now.
To this day?
Yes, it's still there.
Right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Bruno Mars went in and recorded Uptown Funk there.
Get out
So
of
no,
here.
it is like, talk about a transport back to the '60s. You know, literally, they haven't dusted it since the '60s. But it's all very, very soulful. Anyway, I told Boo, I said, Boo, William Bell, he lives in Atlanta, you know. If you want, I'll put you in touch. We got my manager, his manager. Anyway, we flew him out, and he came. And he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "How about we have the original members, there are remaining members of the Stax rhythm section, and then add a couple of the guys from Al Green, the Hodges brothers, Leroy and Charles, and we do Curtis Mayfield. People get ready." There was silence. He goes, first of all, he goes, Curtis Mayfield was one of my dear friends. He goes, that song is so meaningful to me, I will be there. We recorded People Get Ready at Royal Studios and did a music video there, and that people can see. And I'm standing there in front of him recording this thing, and I'm looking. I mean, I might as well be looking at any of those soul singers, Otis Redding or Wilson Pickett.
Right.
It was that, like, holy moly, how did a little clarinet player from Copenhagen get into that? You know, I mean, but that was special. Yeah. So my influences was a lot of American soul and R&B, which is probably ultimately why I knew I wanted to come here.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, but soul music is something that you've just taken by storm from day one. It's something that just connected with you, obviously.
I mean, it's weird, you know, why do we love certain things?
Right,
why do we
right.
connect with certain things?
Right.
You know, it is so unusual for, you know, I was involved in classical music. And my dad was a big band, so not really that. But when I heard that stuff on the radio, I was like, that's my thing. That's my jam, if you will, you know.
Right.
And I just submersed myself in that. And I felt something. You know, music is really supposed to be felt, not heard.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that's the thing, they got it right. Soul music.
Yeah, I love that.
You
It's supposed to be felt, not heard. I love that.
Yeah.
And then you worked with Barry Manilow, Michael Bolton, who was soulful as hell too.
Sure,
I mean, you know, Barry Manilow, soulful.
Yeah.
You know, so tell me how it was working with those two guys as well.
Well, the Bolton thing came for, actually, that's not true. I was managed by Barry's manager, Gary Keefe. I was managed for about a year. So we started to develop a relationship. And then many years went by, and he ended up asking me to come out and open up for him, doing arenas, which was Really cool, you know.
Yeah.
And this is Barry's house, so he knows everything that goes on. I have a great story about that. But let me go back. Michael Bolton kind of happened first, and I got a call from, you probably know, Ricky Minor. Ricky Minor is when you see any award show, he's the music director.
Okay.
He was also the music director on the American Idol for 18 season or whatever.
Okay.
And the Tonight Show band.
Yeah, I know of Ricky.
Yeah, that's Ricky Minor.
I don't know him, but I know of Ricky.
So I get a call from Ricky saying, hey, listen, can you come out to Burbank? I want you to meet somebody. I was like, what is it about? Well, I can't really get into it, but just can you come out to Center Staging Studios and meet somebody? And I walk in, and it was Michael Bolton. So Michael needed a guy. He needed an opening act, but in the middle of his show.
What?
Yes. It's very strange.
Act, well, in the middle of the show.
But it wasn't an opening act. So it doesn't, well, it kind of was that, but I explain. So he also needed somebody that could play some of the songs. He had a lot of collaborations with Kenny G. So Georgia and Soul Provider. There were some songs that had a lot of saxophone on it. So he wanted somebody. So he goes, in his show, he went from the classic Michael Bolton to the R&B Michael Bolton. So he started out with, with Soul Provider and You Don't Know Me and those kind of more classic song. And he comes out in a suit.
Right.
And then he goes back, kind of reset, changes, jeans, T-shirt, and he comes out in the middle of the theater, standing on a little podium in the aisle.
Right.
With a man and loves a woman, and like that, so it become rock and roll. And so he needed somebody to take over that spot. Gotcha. So he wanted somebody he needed somebody that could take over and while he could make all of that happen, And so I ended up doing some of my music in the middle of his show. And at first it was a little strange because they were there to see Michael Bolton, right? And then, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Lington, goodbye. Wait, what's happening? But anyway, we ended up having a little banter, a little conversation of why I was there. And we talk about my music, and it was available for them to buy at the merchandise. So it all made great sense. But here's the thing. It was supposed to be 6 weeks. Ended up being 3 years.
So I guess it was going well.
It was going well. And he couldn't figure out why I didn't want to continue. And you know what? I could have probably continued
another
till
3
this
years.
day. Yeah. But the thing is, I felt, because he was touring in whole other circles. So I felt it was a great thing because I gained a whole new audience. But I wanted to get back to making more music of my own and go out and touring on my own. But it was a great opportunity. I mean, we were gone 250 days a year, so it was a lot of traveling. And it was a wonderful, we also recorded on each other's album. I was a part of his Motown album, and he was a part of, we did Shotgun, the old Junior Walker and the All-Star song. And so that was a great relationship. And then the Barry Manilow thing kind of came after that, but we had known each other. But then they called me when Barry was not doing his residency in Vegas. They were out doing sports arenas.
Right.
And so he needs an opening act. And Barry, Michael kind of let me do you. That's,
Right.
Barry was very particular. And I learned probably the most from working with Barry. Barry pays so an incredible attention to detail, not only for his own show, still tweak, this song didn't work, pull out this song, this segue didn't work. I mean, really, but he would tape, all the shows are taped so he can see what's happening, so he can make the changes. And when I opened up for him, the only advice to me at first was, come with everything you got right out of the gate, because they're here to see me. And if you don't bring it right out there, they'll go out and get drinks. So I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. So come with guns blazing, So it was so great. So after the first show, he brought me backstage actually before our sound check for the second show. And he says, I have some notes for you that I think will really help. And a lot had to do with staging and lighting and entrance. Like, give you a perfect example, something I never thought about. Like, I'm thinking he's saying, come with everything you got. So as soon as they announced my name, right? My band is already on stage. They announced my name. I shoot out there, right? And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And then start going. And he's like, you went out so quick, the follow spot didn't catch you. Do not go out on that stage until you see that spot.
Wow.
Because as soon as they say to them, they got to find you, then they can follow you. Otherwise, you're in the dark. It's like, wow, okay, interesting. Another great example was, he goes, when you play a song, don't end it so quick. Don't end it quick, like a quick ending. He goes, because people don't know if it's over. They don't know when to clap. He goes, you end with the highest note you know, and then put your hand in the air. Now they know. You want that applause, because otherwise you did all this work for nothing.
Right.
It was just a great way to look at things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you can't end a song quickly, but I'm just saying there was just so many amazing little staging things that I learned from Barry. So
Barry, that experience of being there and doing it for so many times and so many years, he was just giving you those little tidbits of information.
And he cared. And then we went out there, and he told his stage choreographer to help my guys, like, get the guitar player to go over there.
Right.
Just things like that. And then he would like text me or email me in 2:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, 7:00. I have another idea. Let's try that tomorrow. And then 7:00, he was like, look at this review from last night's show. They love you. I mean, like, are you sleeping or what's going on?
Right.
It was like, he cared so much. And it was, I mean, at this point of his career, he could just be coasting, but no. So that was probably one of the most amazing learning experiences I had working with Barry.
All right, that's great. Yeah. That's a great learning experience. Talking about one of the best, greatest of all times.
Oh, yeah.
Barry Manilow.
That's right.
Who are some of the people now that you would love to collaborate with that you haven't? I know you had a bunch of people that you've collaborated with, but some of the guys now are girls.
Yeah.
That you see that are hot, and you like their style and their music, that you would love to collaborate with.
So, I have to mention that one of the people that I did get to work with, because it started my career, which was Aaron Neville.
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron and I did a duet on my Heat album. Now, that was pretty special, because Aaron Neville is a national treasure,
Aaron's a bad dude.
Oh, yeah.
He's a bad dude.
And I grew up, listening to him, and the fact that I had a hit with his song, and then we ended up doing a original song duet together. So that was pretty cool. But today, I love John Mayer. I think he is such a talented, he's just a talent in everything that he does.
Yeah.
And it's somebody I really would love to collaborate with, His songs, his guitar playing. He's one of the greatest guitarists. I mean, I'd love to do that. Bruno Mars, my God, that guy, man.
Full of energy.
I mean, but what a talent. I mean, from producer, songwriter, showman, I mean, it's got it all,
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's one person that I always had wanted to was Luther Vandross. Never got a chance to do that, but
that would have been special. Yeah. But I'm gonna go back to Bruno Mars. I mean, to me, he's a modern day James Brown. When you look at the way he performs on stage, his singing, his group, he's got the singing and the dancing all together and everything. He puts on a show.
It is, talk about, when I saw him at the Super Bowl show, I was like, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And I'm not saying that, there's been many great Super Bowl shows.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying, for me, it was like that is, it's just so exciting.
Yeah.
It's so great,
Yeah.
He sounds great. Yeah.
I love Bruno Mars.
So,
I love listening to his stuff.
I do too.
Him and my boy Peck Anderson right now, they got it kind of going on, don't they?
No, that's not. Look, he just rolled straight into that, and that's
they got
cool.
it going on.
Yeah, I mean, they created a whole vibe. Those two.
Silk Sonic.
Yeah, man. And I had friends that went to their show, and they said, "You gotta see their show."
Really?
Yeah. I again, he's got it. So probably the next project he's doing is going to be outstanding too. It's just he's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us, Michael, about the latest album that's coming out. Your 13th one, as I said. Tell us about that.
So, it's an EP.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it a little different this time because I want to release more music more frequently, and it takes me too long to create an entire album. So I don't want to wait 18 months or 2 years by releasing music.
Gotcha.
My last original album came out in 2018. Then in 2019, I did a Christmas album called A Foreign Affair Christmas.
Yeah, that's the first Christmas album you ever did, right?
That's right.
It won't be the last, will it?
I hope not. But that was
that was pretty good.
It was a special project. It was an idea I got because I did Christmas in Barbados one year, and they'd made these cool arrangements, quite a little islandy arrangements of Christmas songs, but they'd expanded the arrangements. I was like, that is really cool. So I used elements of that and worked with them on it. We recorded it live here in LA. But that was a Foreign Affair Christmas. That was a fun project. Then I did a duets album last year because of the pandemic, called Alone Together, the duets, where I involved all my buddies, 10 of them. We picked the 10. But so this coming out now is the first single from my EP, and I haven't even named the EP yet, so it's going to probably be a few months before that comes out. I have some good titles for it, but I'm just thinking about. I'm saving it a little bit. But the first single, they have all the songs. The first single is called "Play." That's right.
Just play.
Press play. Let's play.
I like that though.
And that's what we're all. It's all been so crazy for us for the last 2 years. We need to have some fun. Yeah. We need to play around a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been
enjoy
enough.
Life.
Yeah, enjoy life. Yeah. Exactly. So play. You say play. Play is a positive word.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it calls to action. So it's it's an up-tempo funk song ready for the summer.
I'm looking forward to that. You're
gonna like it, B.
So let me ask you this. I know I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
I love your music. So let me ask you this. You and Carrie, you guys been together, and I know her, and how she is as far as giving back. What are some of the other things that you're doing as far as with the community and things of that nature? You got any fundraisers, or you got a foundation or anything like that you want to kind of tell the fans?
Well, I mean, I have actually, it's funny you say that, because I've always looked for a very specific organization I'd like to be attached to, and that not and not have a bunch that I've done for. I haven't found that one yet. But over the years, I've been involved with the Grammy Foundation, Mr. Holland's Opus, where I've helped raise money for education and instruments for children in school and so on. But I'd like to find that home, where I can really roll up the sleeves and get involved, and becoming a dad and being so in tune with children now and kids. I'd like to find something that has to do with the well-being of them, whatever it is, sick kids, whatever it is, giving them some joy in some way, and some experiences, or help raise money for, causes like that. Yeah. That's what I feel I'm going towards, because, I feel lucky that we have this healthy little boy, but I also know that there are kids out there that are not doing well, and in order and to bring them some joy and be a part of that, that's something I think I would like to be involved in.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of knew that, just knowing you and Carrie the way I do. Yeah. That it was going to be something that's going to be involved with kids, and I've done that for so many years, still do it. Yeah. I did an event the other day for autism, kids with autism.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm also real big in the homeless situation that we have here in Los Angeles. So
thank you.
Those are like the two, most dear to my heart, organizations that I try to give as much as I can, my time and money. Right. To try to support them. So I knew it was going to be something with kids.
Well, I tell you, so some years ago, I was in, I want to say San Antonio. It was in South Texas, and I had a show. And then the day before, I flew in a day earlier to go visit Children's Hospital. And I brought my sax, and I just walked in there and spent a little time with the kids and try to, and seeing these children that do not deserve to be there, seeing, in the state and suffering the way they were. I mean, that's, I think, where it started it for me. And then becoming a dad, it was like, it's got to be that. It has to be that,
Yeah. Same with me, Michael. I got a letter, and I don't think I've ever told this story, especially on the podcast. I got a letter way back in the day from a kid's parents, and the kid was at Chalk Hospital, and he had cancer. And my business manager, obviously, they had to check the letter out to make sure it was true that the kid was there.
Sure.
So we went to the hospital, to Chalk Hospital in Orange County.
Right.
Went to see the kid. Marshall Grober is the name of the kid.
Right.
Remember him? I'll never forget Marshall's
Right.
name. And went to Marshall, talked to him for about 30, 40 minutes, and then we went around to every kid on that wing and said hello, right? I got back in the car, and my business manager said, that was tough. And he looked up to me, and I was crying.
Yeah.
Because I had kids at the time.
Right.
I had 2 kids at the time that were healthy.
Right.
And I looked back at him, and I said, we got to do something.
Yeah.
And so we formed Challenge for Children, which was my organization back in the day. That's where I met, Alan Thicke, and he became on the board and everything. And for 10 straight years, we raised money for Chalk Hospital.
Wow.
So I knew.
So you know how rewarding it is.
It's not only rewarding, but like you said, you're looking at kids that don't deserve to be there.
They do not.
They shouldn't be there.
Right.
Just going through something that's that's out of their control.
Yeah.
And the parents have to be strong as hell to be able to deal with that. And it kind of brings you to what's happened in Texas and all this other stuff. It just breaks your heart. Kids don't get a chance to live.
Yeah.
So when you became a father, I already knew. I said,
it's a change. It sounds so cliche, but it changes your life, and you don't know it until you have it. You can say, "Oh, I can see how it would do that." You don't know. You just you look at going. My purpose is now to make sure he's okay and protect. Yeah. It just changes everything. And
absolutely.
So that I would love to do that. But there's a couple of things, there's a couple of things I've started lately to change the subject a little bit. Is I started hosting my own radio show, which has been a lot of fun. It's a muscle a new muscle for me to work out. So I'm now hosting Fridays on 2 hours on Fridays on Smooth Jazz 24/7.
Okay, y'all hear that?
Smooth
Check out Michael Lington on
smoothjazz247.com. And you can hear it anywhere in the world. And also they have a downloadable app. So Fridays at 12 noon Pacific time. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And what we were just talking about how cool this thing is for you because of all the people and can bring in and the history you have with people. It's just a great forum for you to have this and can ask great questions about your friends and share stories. I do the same thing on the show because I'm playing all my buddies' music. Right. So I have little stories about all of it, and so it's fun to be able to do that. And it's fun to be able to support. Yeah.
That's what we all do. We try to support each other. And that's why I'm telling you guys to make sure you check out Michael Lington on
smoothjazz247.com.
Check him out.
Yeah.
And I know he does a great job because that's my boy. So I know he does.
Well, thanks, Matt. It is a new muscle for me, and I've been doing it for, I think we're on show 10 or 12 or something like that. And you realize, you get better at it. It's like, and the flow gets better and it just feels better. But it's fun to always sort of expand upon what you're already doing and try new things. Like when I was crazy enough to try to make cigars and wine and
Oh no, wait a minute, hold on. Oh. Yeah, because we haven't even talked about that.
Right.
And we talked about this before the show even started. I was like, wait a minute, Michael, I knew you was in the wine.
Right.
But you got your own cigar as well. So you got to tell us about that before we go as well. Now, you told me the cigar started first.
Yeah, 2006. Yeah. It started with me being asked, actually, by Dave Koss, a buddy Dave Koss. He said, I was a part of his jazz cruise. And back then, you could smoke anywhere in the boat. They had a cigar lounge with a piano, the whole thing. Not so much anymore. But but anyway, he says, Michael, besides your concert, you should host an event for the passengers, So I had a buddy who owned a cigar store, a very large cigar store in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And I said, could we make my own cigar for this event? He's like, well, let me check into it. Yeah. So he checked it. He goes, well, the short answer is yes. I mean, the problem is we got to make 4,000 cigars. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, that's not going to work out. He goes, no, it's going to work out. You take as many as you want. I'll sell the rest of them out of my store.
Wow.
Okay. So we did. people loved him, and we sold a ton on the ship, and it was great. So we came back and we said, well, let's make a business out of it. So that's how the cigar thing started, And then, I don't know, 6 years ago, I got a call from this winemaker, vintner, up in Paso Robles, California. And he says, I know your music. I also know that you have cigars. You need a line of wines.
Yeah, you got to go with that. You got something to go with that cigar, man.
I'm like, okay. He says, coming up, I'll show you around. We can create your own unique wine. And he said, I said, well, what are we making, like a Cabernet and Merlot? He goes, no, let's do something unique. We'll make our own blends. And, so we did. And so we made a blend called the Trio. It has obviously the musical term trio, but it's 3 grapes. We made a white wine, a Viognier white wine called the Soloist. And then our reserve estate Cabernet is called Maestro, because that's the leader of the pack.
That's right. That's
there.
The Maestro.
Yeah. So
which one did you bring that night that we had dinner?
The Maestro. The Cabernet. Yeah.
So, of course, Mike and I and our wives, we all had dinner together, and Mike brought the wine, and we drank the wine, and it was really good. That's how I knew you had the wine. I just didn't know you had the stogies, but perfect blend. You got to have the stogie, you got to have wine. That's something that I do still to this day. I go out in my backyard. Yeah. I pull out a stogie, I get a glass of wine, and I'm good for the rest of the day.
Well, you got some cigars coming your way, Byron. So you
see how I did that, y'all?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't have to ask out right.
It just happened. That's right.
Just finagle my way in to get some stogies.
It was smooth, but you got some cigars coming your way.
Yeah. Well, Michael, my brother, always a pleasure. It's been really too long. We didn't even talk about how much you touring, but again, you got a website, Michael, that people
of course.
can go to check out your music and everything.
I'm on social media as I should be,
as most people
are. My website, michaellington.com, is always a great destination to go because it'll tell you about everything that's happening. Live touring, new music coming out. I still do live stream shows. I just moved recently and built a studio from the ground up, a very cool live stream recording studio. I used to just have a recording studio, but now I thought, well, I'm going to be doing both in here. So I built it from the ground up.
Oh, that was cool.
And I was technically going to stop doing my live streams after the sort of pandemic was deemed over.
Right.
And I built such a wonderful community and audience, and they said, please don't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool because if I have time, or if I got some time off from touring on the road, I can literally activate a show on a Monday, and they'll all be there. Right. And I use a platform called Stage It, where you have to buy a ticket. So it's a more intimate concert experience. It's not like a Facebook Live thing. I never really did that. I mean, I do them to promote the shows, but I create a very sort of customized experience. It's 1 hour. Not every Sunday, but on Sundays at 5 o'clock. And the community and all of these people that have attended the show, some of them have been to every single show, and we're like 74 now, so 74. And they've been to all of the shows. Now they're friends. Coming on and checking it out, Yeah, they're friends with each other, and it's just been a beautiful experience. So everything virtual, live stream shows and live concerts, new music, radio show, just raising a family.
There you go. Got to take care of them.
That's right. Actually, they should be first.
They are first. Yeah. They are first. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Off The Dribble with your boy Byron Scott, my boy Michael Lington here. And guys, if you have not seen him in concert, you got to go check it out. The man puts on an unbelievable show. Fortunately for me, I get a chance to see him whenever I can. The last show just happened to be with him and Kenny Lattimore. Were on stage at Newport Beach.
That's right.
And then we had the pandemic. And
that's right.
But when he's back in town or anywhere near, I will be at the show. And again, thank you guys for joining us. Until another episode of Off The Dribble. We'll see you next time.